Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Askerindavis and today I have a special guest with me. My husband will be joining us today. Yay! So my husband is on my channel today because I shared my testimony with you all last week, but a lot of you all are very interested in meeting my husband, knowing his testimony. A lot of women have been asking me questions about being married. When is the right time for them to get married? And I know men have these same questions. So that's why I have you on here, babe, to share your knowledge and wisdom. So just to start, welcome Chanel, who is like in love with my hubby. She loves elegance. So to start, just a quick background. Can you give us a quick background of just like a little bit about your childhood? Because I feel like you have a like very interesting story from just like growing up to where you are now. About you?
Okay. Well, my name is Elegance, as you know, and I grew up in St. Louis, and I grew up with my mother always being really into Christ, into God, really building her relationship and instilling that into us. And even my father starting a church at the age of probably 12 and really just building up on that and really instilling in us a love of Christ. And really from a very young age, just giving my life to God. But then as I got over just from influences from friends and outside forces, me kind of just going astray, trying to do my own thing, and really seeing the result of how things didn't go well, of really just being depressed and really just being in a lost mindset, really just rededicating myself to Christ as a young adult.
Wait, so when was that? When did you feel like you were depressed and stuff?
I would say probably leaving high school, going through that transitional age of like 18 to like 22, not really knowing what to do, how to go about life, how to navigate things, and really just being lost, not really knowing what God has for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and really just seeking God and really just going to God more so He can truly just tell me what I need to do, what He needs from me.
So when would you say you like really accepted Christ? Because I looked at some of your Facebook pictures, babe, and you was out here in college. like I feel like I mean we all go astray because it's a difference between like of course you believe in Jesus and then really walking for Christ. And I feel like that's like where a lot of people get it confused. They accepted Christ, but they don't really live a life for Christ, you know, like their walk doesn't show it. And so I feel like you have always pretty much known about Jesus, right? Since like, you know, birth, like growing up. But when did you really like accept Him as your Lord and Savior and like really start walking with Christ? Because I know your freshman year, I remember you kind of shared a bit about, you know, having a great time and stuff. So what was that like pivotal moment when you decided like, man, I'm really walking for Christ? Or was it more gradual, or like what was that like?
I would say I was probably going on 23 when I really rededicated myself to Christ and really started trying to seek Him more so. Around that whole time period is when I really tried to dig deeper into Christ and not just be so surface level with my relationship with Him.
Many people don't know this about you, and I don't think you ever really talk about this, but I think it'll be good for those of you who may have experienced a similar thing. Can you kind of share a little bit about being like going through foster care, being adopted, and even maybe how you felt towards God during that time, or how it kind of shaped your view of God and life, etc.?
Well, yeah, I was in foster care for probably 2 years, and through that time it was definitely hard being very young, you know, being scared, being uncertain of things. And Yeah, how about you? How you got? I mean, I didn't really at the age you don't really understand things. You don't really. I don't really put God as the blame in that situation because I was so young. So, but God was always faithful to us, to me and my brother and sister, and just really just keeping us safe, and really just reuniting us, and really, just allowing us to be under the same roof, growing up.
Also, the last thing I kind of want to talk about in our video is just that a lot of people, two things actually. The first being, we basically kind of had a kid out of wedlock. Like, even though we were married when our first son Emmanuel was born, I got pregnant before we got married. And a lot of videos that are out now, we hear a lot about the wait, waiting. We know that's like, we know that that's God's intent, for us, for his children, to abstain from sexual immorality and to wait till you're married to have sex. But we obviously didn't, And for me, I almost felt like damaged goods, even when we got married. I felt like we got married because we almost like had to, because we were having a baby, and I felt like kind of disgraced, so what would you say to like the people out there who may be pregnant right now, or they got married because of they were about to have a baby, or like what would your advice be on that? And if you could go back, what would you have done different?
I mean, really, to people who may feel that way, I mean, God is a redeeming God. He definitely can bring you back from anything, and you are not damaged goods, because like God created you, so he can redeem you as well. And if you're going through something similar to what we went through, just know this, just stay faithful to God, and he will work everything out, because like you are not damaged. You are definitely redeemed in his eyes when you go to him, and going back, I mean, I don't really like to say what I would do if I can go back, because I can't go back,
right.
So I just have to focus on what God has for me and my family now, and in the future, how I can better plan for things in the future, and how I can teach my sons and really be a witness for how God is transforming my life,
That's good. That's really good. That's good. And I guess that leads me to the last question being, for me, because a lot of women ask me this, and you're a man, so I feel like, a lot of women ask me this, and you're a man, so I'm gonna ask you, because they really want to know from a man's perspective, what is going on with men like wanting to wait till they're like ready-made, they're in their career, they got all the money, to propose and to get married. I feel like when we got married, like I wasn't done with college, you weren't done with college, we weren't in our careers, we got married before all of that. Like, what would your advice be? What would your advice be for that? Like, what is it with men about wanting to be ready-made? And do you think that's the best, to be already ready-made, or to get married now before, or what?
I mean, our situation is different from everybody else's. So what we did is not the cookie cutter way of doing things, because everybody's different. I mean, and to be ready-made, or just to go into things not ready. I mean, it's always good to be ready, but you really have to go to God on things and really ask God, is this who you want me to be with for the rest of my life? And if you have that figured out, God definitely wants the man to be able to provide for his family. So that's like the main thing, that you be able to provide for your family, and whether that means that you're in your career, or that you work a job. That's just the important thing. and really like just make sure that you are mature enough for marriage. So if you're not mature enough, if you're still trying to go out and do certain things, so definitely hold off on it until you are. So like. I don't like to put an age on something because maturity is definitely a mindset.
Anything else you want to say to the people?
Watch, thumbs up, subscribe. And a ton of content along the way. And I see you're working very hard. She has something that can definitely bless you.
Thanks, babe. Love you.